So today I'll be giving a general demo across the entire Totara Talent experience platform, or the Totara suite, so Learn, Engage, Perform. I'll be touching briefly on the mobile app. It's a little bit difficult to demo an app, so I've just got screenshots, but please don't let that stop you from asking any questions. And because we've just released the version 14 release, I'll just be touching very quickly across the updates across 14 as well. Right, so thank you everyone. I'm about to close the poll out. So so far we've got everyone is a existing Totara user, which is fantastic. So that means I can make some assumptions in terms of the stuff I'm talking about. Having said that, if you do have any questions or anything that I've not covered, Matt is here on the chat and watching the Q&A area. So today's session will be a couple of slides just to bookmark a live site demo. So I'll be switching backwards and forwards between a few slides just so people can skim through the video and see what I'm talking about, and a version 14 Totara site. Feel free to ask any questions in Q&A. If you use the Q&A, that means that we can note which questions we have answered and which we haven't had time to get to, and we'll follow up any questions that we haven't had time to review in the Totara community. Usually I post a link to the recording and put in any answers to questions. We've also got Matt on chat, and if you've got any comments or anything, particularly if I'm running another poll and it's none of the above and you want to explain your answer, or you want to provide us more information, please do check the chat, keep an eye on that. And occasionally I like to surprise Matt with occasional requests for posting links to various resources or courses, and those will be posted in the chat. Now, we are recording today's session, and that recording will then be available via the Totara community. If you're not already a community member, which I hope you are, then you can just register an account for free on the community. Matt might post the link to the community there in chat if he hasn't already. And then it will provide you access to not only the Totara Academy for comprehensive courses and training on how to use the Totara products, but also a range of resources and information, and of course the forums where if you think of a question after our session or have any follow-up questions, please do feel free to post in the discussion forums. We've got a team watching those and they will be able to assist. So before I get started, anything to add, Matt?
No, yeah, just this is Meredith says, there's lots of webinars available and lots of training available in the Totara community. So yeah, if you've not been exploring there for a while, do go and have a look. And you can see aspects of the talent experience platform on the community, as the Totara community is using Totara Learn and Totara Engage. So it's a good way to explore some of the products in there too.
Excellent, good point. Alrighty, so let's make a start. So I'm going to start off with Totara Learn, our foundation product. Most of you will probably be familiar with it, because we've got primarily, unless a few people have joined since that poll, primarily existing users of Learn. I'll try to move through the Learn side of things relatively quickly so I can spend more time across Engage and Perform. So Totara Learn, our learning management system, has all of the functionality you would expect from a modern learning management system. We have management for compliance and mandatory training. We have custom report builder. It's fully GDPR compliant. There is a lot of automation and personalization, and it can support e-learning, blended learning, offline or virtual training, and has a range of options in terms of both learning and development across things like the learning plan. Now, we recently released Totara Learn 14, or Totara 14, and I say recently, that last week, and there includes a couple of updates across there. So these are just flashing up on screen. We probably won't go across all of these. Some of them are sort of quick one-liners or a quick description, others that we'll dive into, such as the centralized notification system. Very quickly, so we introduced integration with the seminar tool, which is our management tool for virtual and instructor-led training, where it can connect directly to your Zoom or MS Teams system, but it can also take links from your other preferred web conferencing system. Users can declare interest in a particular event before there are dates set without directly enrolling in a course, so they can sort of try before they buy. We've made some updates to the default branding, which you'll see in a moment when I skip to my demo site, which is just updating our logo and making some of the default images grayscale so that if you don't like green, you don't have to put up with green any longer. We have also made some updates across our multi-tenancy functionality. We released enhanced multi-tenancy across version 13 at the end of last year. And we've extended that out so that tenants have further customization and personalization, including default images. And tenant administrators can also create audiences, which allow them to further group and apply bulk actions such as enrollments across people within their tenant. There's also some updates across the SCORM activity. So that's how you would manage e-learning activities. So you previously, if you wanted people to attempt an e-learning after they'd tried and maybe failed, it was a yes or no option. And now there's yes, no, or only if they've made a complete attempt. So you've got some further options in terms of engagement and re-engagement across e-learning activities. Now, we also introduced, and this is a big piece of work, the centralized notification system. Now, that sits across core, and by core, I mean that sits across Totara Learn, Totara Engage, and Totara Perform, so the full talent experience platform, the TXP. Now, in 14, we've created that new framework, so we can now create notifications in one central area. However, we've rolled that out just for programs and certifications across the latest release, so last week, and we'll be replacing or moving or reintroducing the other notifications that are available within the system now, such as things like seminar and badging across the version 15 release that shall be towards the end of the year, sort of October time. So for now, we've just got it working for programs and certifications, which make up the bulk of a lot of notifications, but will allow me to demo it and will allow folks to get used to how the new centralized framework will work. So the centralized notification system is really neat, and we will cover that across the system, but generally notifications are now created in one centralized area and can be grouped and created and customized by what's called a notifiable event, which is some sort of event trigger. So like a user is enrolled in a program or a user completes a certification. And each of those notifications have different options in terms of schedule, who sent it, the content of it, and that will allow you to then in turn create more both personalized, multi-language and engagement type notifications. So very quickly, before I do that, I'm going to show you. So here we are skipping over to my demo site. I'm going to start off as a learner. And for the purposes of this demo, if you're ever not sure what type of user I'm viewing the site as or what the experience is, I've made sure that we've got Lisa learner, me a manager, admin user. So the role is in the name. So if in doubt, just look up to the top here and you'll know. So by learner, I mean a standard authenticated user that doesn't have management rights or administration rights or any other special type of access across the site. So this is my TXP installation. It is completely unbranded. So this is what you can achieve just through configuration and taking various images and attaching them to your site. But of course, with it being Totara and the way that Totara products work is that you can rebrand it. So here's a couple of screenshots from some various Totara sites. I'm just going to skip through these super quickly. And these just demonstrate that you can add a fully branded experience. You might want to strip down the navigation, such as you see in the AIM Business School idea. You might want to make things particularly branded, such as the Toyota Lexus site. You might have more of a minimal type look, but you have lots of options. So please don't think that anything that you see in terms of my demo site is what you will necessarily be stuck with, or what you would have across your Totara site. The limits are sort of your imagination and possibly budget as well. But oops, wrong. There we go. So back to my site. So everything I've achieved here is with 0 design skill and admin, but strong admin foo. And this here, we've landed Lisa on a dashboard, and this particular dashboard is designed as a portal for learners to see what they need to do, where they might need to go, and what they've been up to. So their current learning and what's the last course they accessed. It'll also show personalized alerts and tasks if there's anything that, in this case, Lisa needs to know or needs to do. But this is just one example of a dashboard. You can have many dashboards across the site, and these dashboards can be assigned by what's called an audience. An audience is a function of administrator and allows you to group users together. And those groups can be what are called set, which is where you select individuals manually, or can be dynamic. And dynamic audiences allow you to add members to a audience based on various rules or criteria. And those rules or criteria extend across the user profile information, their learning and current learning and past learning. So what courses they have or haven't completed, or what programs they have or haven't completed, as well as anything relating to their job role or their location or team or department that they're working across. So it means you can support these multiple dashboards, have one dedicated for an administrator, one for a course creator, one for a manager. You might also have them specific for maybe your first aiders or for a certain type of role or job that is common or even uncommon across an organization. Now I see a few things popping up in the chat. Are there any questions for me, Matt?
Hi Meredith, I'm just adding in some links to some of the features you're talking about. So
cool.
Just put in a course there about audiences. So Meredith's giving a high level approach to these features, but if you'd like to dive deeper into those, then I'm just adding some courses for you. So yeah, you can go and have a look at audiences. There's lots of little animations in there, and you can try a system simulation where you can create your own audiences as well. So yeah, just adding those in at the moment.
Oh, cool. Okay, thank you. When you're running the full talent experience platform, or even just Learn and Engage, you have a lot of opportunities in terms of supporting formal and instructor-led training, as well as social and informal training, or a kind of a funky hybrid of the two. So I'm going to start off just talking a little bit about Totara Learn, because I know that we've got predominantly Totara Learn users here. So I'll get that out of the way so we can focus on Engage and Perform. So I'm going to go into a couple of courses which are very basic. If you want to see a course in real life and experience that, do follow those links that Matt has posted there in the chat. Those are to live courses that you can participate in, and also, you know, if you're lucky, learn something at the same time. So this is just an example of a course that has a very basic course where we've got a seminar event which people can book into. In this case, I'll get Lisa to sign up for this event. And when you sign up for an event, or a learner signs up for an event, you can collect certain information like dietary options or accessibility requirements. In this case, let's go vegetarian today. And you can also push requests to the organizer of the session, collect a range of information. And then further to that, there could be a request process and approval process for attending these events. So this is open and allows me to just sign on up. And actually, of course, I can cancel at any point, and I will receive a confirmation email and an iCal invite, which will be compatible with the likes of Outlook and Google Calendar. But of course, you can have single stage or manager approval or two-stage approval across those. And we've extended across 13 the seminar functionality to allow connections directly with Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Teams and Zoom. And you'll notice as I hover over this Join Now button, because the session has started or about to start, as I hover over it, you'll see at the bottom of my browser here that it goes actually directly to a Teams account. So when I created that event, I said it was a Teams event, did a quick authentication across my Teams installation, and it allowed me to create a corresponding session across right now, or in 15 minutes time for this event. Now I can add these virtual rooms. I can, if I'm not using Teams or Zoom, I can put my own custom link to my preferred web conferencing system, or I can use physical rooms or a combination of the two. And anything physical, like a piece of equipment or a room, you've got resource management and calendar booking, but you can also add facilitators and link these to actual users within the site, and again, set up a calendaring or resource management to prevent double booking. What you can't see here, as Lisa, is that you can also attach equipment or assets to an event, and those assets can be, say, physical equipment like a laptop, or in fact can be a service, and you can set up a calendar for those services, so you can ping catering or IT support that they're needed, or their help is needed at virtual upcoming events. Now as a user, I can skim through my past events and see what I've missed out on, but I can also browse upcoming events and sign up for those if I so wish. And you'll notice here that some of these events have more than one session, so you can split these seminar events across different days or different times. And then as we log in as a administrator, you'll be able to see that I can in fact take attendance across those events as well as at the session level. Any questions?
No questions coming in so far.
Okay, so moving back to the homepage. So this is, actually no, that's a lie, the course homepage, there we go. Just a couple of things to note on this page. You'll see that I've got certain restrictions in terms of working through this course. And Totara will allow you to set activity completion tracking automatically or manually, as well as course completion automatically or manually, which means that you can guide users through a prescribed course, prescribed set of learning activities within the course, or you can create more of an adaptive and gamified course environment. And you can use that through some functionality called the access restrictions or restrict access. And that allows you to hide or even show but not provide access to, as we see here, certain activities until various conditions are met. In this case, it's all around completion or a pass on other events. But those restrictions can be based on your audience, which I mentioned. It could be based on your position, so your role. It can be based on organization, so your team, department, or location. It can be based on your preferred language, and a range of other information tied to the user, such as user profile information. So that allows you to create quite both an adaptive and gamified environment within a course. And if I skip over to a different course, let's see, this one, you'll see something a little bit more complicated. As a learner and as I move to an administrative view, there's a lot of stuff you're not seeing. And what this means, or what this course shows, is that you need to start with this pre-assessment quiz, and then different sections are going to be available and displayed to me dependent on my particular grade within that quiz. So it allows you to create and deliver different content to different users with different learning needs, all within the one environment. And they may move across different sections as their capability grows, and there might be areas that they know less about, so they move back to the more remedial or reminder content rather than skipping through to things. And you notice here that we've also got this leaderboard. You can have any instance of those, and you can choose how much or how little personal information displays along here as well. Okay. Now I'm going to move, to the library. So Totara Learn contains a lot more information and a lot of functionality. There's a range of in-course authoring. You can, of course, upload SCORM. You can create quizzes, as we've seen, and add content. But because I really never give Engage and Perform enough time here in these demos, I'm just moving over to our LXP Totara Engage. So this is where you can create content either as a learner, or maybe you prevent or limit access to content creation to various or specified subject matter experts. It's entirely up to you how you choose to use this functionality. What it does allow you to do is for a user, whether you allow them or not, you can specify, but in this case, the default is learners can create content, is to create these smaller pieces of informal or socially driven pieces of learning. And there's two different types of content you can create. You can create a standard resource, example 1, 2, 3, and there's a range of editing options. You can add in here like bullets and numbering, etc. Entirely up to you. And this this editor here is has limited or some editing options. The reason for that sort of somewhat stripped down editor is because we've designed Totara Engage as in a mobile first or mobile friendly way. So our Totara mobile app, which I'll talk about in a moment, it provides access for the learn journey. So a learner can log into their Totara Learn site, they can access their current learning, they look through courses, programs and certifications, and they can complete those on or offline. Totara Engage will be looking at extending that support across Totara Mobile in the versions to come. However, there are a range of really neat things you can do now within Totara Engage. In fact, I should bring up the slides for our watchers in advance. So just moving back to the Totara Mobile, because the mobile app is available through our partner network and can be configured, you can add branding, you can authenticate in a number of ways. And as I say, you can access learning or SCORM learning offline. And as we'll see when I look at the centralized notifications, you can also push notifications to the mobile app as well. This is a nice bookmark, these are bookends. And now, of course, we're talking about Totara Engage. Okay, back to the real stuff. So across Totara Engage and these resources, we can add links, we can add attachments, we can embed media that we already have stored, or we can go over to YouTube or Vimeo and grab a URL and we can post that directly into these resources and it will automatically embed that video here. Now also, because this is the first image that's available, this then becomes the thumbnail. So you see behind here, I've got various thumbnails and images. You don't have to upload your own custom images, there are defaults, but if you do have something that's image-based in some way, it will display, which you'll view within the course catalog. Now, when you create a piece of content, you can choose how it's shared and whether it's shared. Maybe if it's draft content, it's not ready to share, you can save it to only yourself and then change the sharing options later. Or maybe you're simply collecting resources that you want to come back to, webinars that you missed, or courses that you want to do later. You can pop those all into your Engage library and come back to it. Alternatively, you might want to share with specific people, and that could be individuals that you select from a list. And an administrator will have full control about how much information displays in these little profile cards. Or you might choose to share with a specific group, so what's called a workspace across Engage. And you'll see at the top here, there's a section called Collaborate, and workspaces allow you to create collaborative communication and sharing areas with a load of use cases or ways that you could possibly implement across workspaces. Hopefully Matt's just posted a link to a fantastic resource that he put together around using and leveraging the functionality available within workspaces. We'll talk a little bit more about workspaces in a moment. And you'll note that I can also put in the option time to read, and I'll again touch on that in just a moment. I'm in this case want to share with everyone because that's easier for me in terms of demoing, but you also need to attach then some tags or topics. Now this topic list is configurable, so these are just a few examples here, and these topics feed into the recommendations engine, which I'll go into in just a moment. And now I've created that piece of content. Now, the other type of content you can create here is you see a survey, and you can create these sort of quick or pulse surveys for a variety of reasons. Note that you can have single answer and multiple answers. And again, you go through the process of choosing how it's shared and how it's labeled. So you might use these surveys to help check in with people, check people's understanding of various areas. It might be to just decide, make a quick decision on a particular area. And these surveys can be shared individually or can be across a workspace. Now, a key part of any learning experience platform is the ability to create and then curate content together. And the curation tool is the playlists functionality. Now, playlists provide a mechanism to collect resources that you have created, as well as resources that are available for you to share. So in this case, this particular playlist is where Lisa has become interested around multi-tenancy and has built a list of a couple of resources here, which she can move around. Oh, there we keep on dropping my cursor. There we go. She can move around, and these might be related pieces of content, or there might be a start to finish journey so that they need to be delivered in a certain way. And I can add new content and add to these playlists. And again, I can share these items. In this other playlist example, I've got some content that I, Lisa Learner, have created, as well as some content from other people. Now, across all of these individual resources, I've got these little icons, and you can see in this case, this is a very popular, this has been liked, this piece of content 4 times. It's been added to 3 different playlists. There have been also a range of comments or discussion across this particular item. So you can track people's interaction with pieces of content, as well as track and report on user engagement. So you can see who's creating great content, who's creating popular content, and who's working collaboratively and is engaged across both the content and the site as a whole. Just to back a step, so we've got the, in this case, likes, comments, shares, and how many workspaces it has been added to. And you'll see here there's also the star rating. So while individual resources can receive likes with the thumbs up, playlists as a whole receive a star rating. Any questions, Matt?
No, there's no questions. I just want to point out that in the Totara community, you can go and sort of experience this for yourself as well. So as well as taking courses on this, you can actually go and build your own sets of resources as well. So you can go and create something like this, and you can just have the experience for yourself as well.
That's right. Don't have to do what I'm doing. So I've talked a lot about workspaces, so let's have a look. So workspaces, there have a lot of opportunities to how you use workspaces across your Totara Engage site. It might be a project group. It might be a group of people that are having a similar experience, such as an onboarding or induction workspace. It might be for a certain team or department. It could be a combination. It could be a range of other things. So within these workspaces, this is the workspace that Lisa, who's obsessed by multi-tenancy and extended enterprise, she's created those resources within her library. Then she's created a Publix or an open workspace. And by open, I don't mean to the general public, but to people within your Totara site, as opposed to a private group, which should be invite only. And within this, she's posed a question. She's uploaded some content, which includes that playlist that we saw a moment ago, an extended enterprise, an additional resource around extended enterprise, and she's added a survey as well, trying to prompt people within your organization to consider extended enterprise as a solution. Sorry for the pausing, just had to have a quick cough there. Okay. So workspaces have a lot of opportunities for collaboration, for communication, for sharing content, for curating content as well. Just because Lisa has created this item doesn't mean that other members of the workspace can't add to that. So they can add more content. So maybe that, the good or bad or a study relating to extended enterprise, and build that on and have a record of all of those interactions, as well as all of the discussions. So in this case, Lisa's a little bit lonely in here, but people can reply. And all of those likes and replies and likes on replies, again, is all tracked within the reporting tool, which I'll show you towards the end of today's session. Now, back to the homepage and my dashboard. Another big part of Totara Engage is the recommendations engine. So this is a machine learning based recommendations. Anyone who claims that, well, most people that claim that the recommendation engine is AI, it's not true. It's not replicating human intelligence. It's learning off various inputs or information. That's machine learning, and that's the strength of this recommendations engine. That means that you can configure how it processes that information, what information it processes it, and how these recommendations are displayed. It also means it will get smarter and better over time without launching Judgment Day. So there are 4 ways that the recommendations engine can display recommendations across the site. And you can display it across a dashboard, you can add it to maybe the course catalog, or you can even display it within a course. So the 4 types of recommendations are this trending item. You can see me clicking around here as added to that trending item. I've got a rapid turnaround on these trends, just because this is my demo site. You can also provide recommendations for micro-learning, and that's that key that I was talking about, where you identify an item that takes less than 5 minutes to process or to read or to watch. The 3rd type of recommendation is around workspaces, and things like people that have similar information or similar trends and likes and engagement with different resources as you, or different workspaces, will feed into that recommendations engine alongside those topics and other members of those workspaces. The 4th and final type of recommendation for now is around courses. So you can, if you're running Engage and Learn, for example, you can provide recommendations on courses that, in this case, Lisa hasn't yet completed or hasn't yet enrolled in. So providing recommendations of courses and adding this block or this widget to the course catalog page is an excellent way of guiding people, and having it sitting at the top of this page here is an excellent way of guiding people to what they might want to complete next across the course catalog. Any questions?
No questions so far. Everyone's thoroughly engaged.
They're too busy worrying about Skynet, obviously. Okie dokie. Now, the last thing on recommendations is that across 14, we extended that recommendations slightly. So we improved some of the processing of text. So the content within those resources that you're creating also feeds into the recommendations that you receive. So similar language and similar content, you'll have those pushed into those recommendations. And we can also now tap into user profile information. So whether that's their department or their preferred language, for example, that can all feed into the recommendations engine. Now, finally, across Engage, before I spend some time on Perform, is that we've also got, I'm just dragging some stuff on screen here, a rich integration with MS Teams and Engage. Now, this MS Teams site, this is my MS Teams site, and it's connected through this Totara app, which you can install to a separate site. This is, you'll see a slightly different course catalog. And this site is hosted in New Zealand, so it's just a little slow running. That isn't certainly reflective of anything. It's just a little sandbox server, so it's not designed to be high performance. But you can see here that I'm in MS Teams, but I'm also in my Totara site, and I can browse and I can view different resources within the site. I can interact with that content, so I can I can provide comment, and this is all within MS Teams. So this provides a single sign-on, one-stop shop learning in the flow of work if you're running MS Teams across your organization. So I can view and access new content. I can complete courses. I can create my own content as well. So I can go into that library area that we saw where I created content. I can create new items. I can create new playlists. And I can also access my current learning. So I can go in and complete my courses as I like directly here within my MS Teams area. The MS Teams app also means that you can optionally push system notifications that you would ordinarily receive maybe via email or via alerts and tasks to optionally and maybe even additionally be sent to Microsoft Teams. So you can opt in to receive notifications from the system to Teams. So if you are an MS Teams organization and you are booked on maybe a seminar event, you can receive that reminder that you or a staff member is going to be have a training session tomorrow, and that's why they didn't arrive at work that day. You can receive that directly. And of course, because it's Teams, you can bounce through the other functionality. This is just one additional app that you can install, and you can call it whatever you like. This is just called Totara Demo App. You can customize both the logo and the content here. Right, so let's do the old bookmarking here. So that's the key functionality across Totara and Engage. A great standalone learning experience platform, but of course really comes strength to strength and offers a full spectrum of different types of learning and opportunities across learning when paired with the learning management system. Very much a fan of the right content and the right delivery in the right system, rather than sort of shoehorning informal learning into a formal learning environment, but likewise, and just as bad as shoehorning formal learning, maybe compliance training, into a more informal setting, so in a micro learning setting. So you can take advantage of both styles and types and accommodate the kind of content and training that you have according to the different functionality available. Okay, before I move on to Perform, any questions there, Matt?
No, I know you sort of sound like a bit of a broken record. I am adding links in for all these different features. So for example, Totara and Microsoft Teams working together, there's a good course on that you can take, and you can see videos on how that works. And again, try system simulations and take a quiz to ensure you understand everything. So yeah, there's lots of training available. You can go and take it anytime.
And it is excellent training. And yeah, we are scratching the surface. I'm going kind of fast here. So do dip in. Okay, so moving on to Totara Perform. This is our performance management system, and it offers a range of functionality. So particularly around the performance activities, so your appraisals, your feedback, your check-ins, we've created a system which will allow you to accommodate both your more traditional once-a-year appraisals, as well as, and hopefully move to more of a continuous performance management process. Continuous performance management means that rather than having one big terrifying and manager-led appraisal, you can have many smaller activities throughout the year, which means as an employee, you get to express how you're feeling and demonstrate successes and where you might have an opportunity for taking on new challenges. And likewise, managers can identify areas of risk across their team and the organization for people that perhaps aren't performing, or perhaps people who are bored and at the risk of losing talent across the organization. So Totara Perform has a range of key functionalities. So I've touched on those performance activities. Of course, you also need reporting, which I'll wrap up on it towards the end. You can also support the creation, management, and tracking of personal as well as organizational goals. So goals that are maybe set across an entire organization or for a certain team. And we have advanced competency assignment and tracking. So competencies are the various skills, knowledge, and behaviours that your staff may need or want across their work and in their personal and professional interactions across your organisation. And being able to track those and view those and see what you need to do to achieve those across a dashboard or competency profile. Now, oops, here we go. Across Totara 14, Perform got a lot of love. We added a number of really handy new report sources, those achievement paths, so how you would obtain, excuse me, obtain a competency. It's now really clear if those paths aren't complete or completely set up, so you don't get people stranded in the middle of a completion scale. And you can also set the required level of achievement or proficiency based on the group that's been assigned to it. So for example, if you are a manager, you might need a level of proficiency which set you on a scale which was called able to train others. Whereas maybe if you're just a member of that team, you could be considered still proficient if you had just achieved that item or competency. So let's dive into that. So as a learner, I have a competency profile here. And this is that dashboard that I was talking about, where you can see all of the competencies that you've been assigned, whether you've assigned them to yourself, so Lisa's a bit of an overachiever here, or whether they've been assigned by your manager, which is directly assigned, or whether they have been assigned by your team or your organization, whether they've been assigned because you belong to a certain audience, or whether it's been assigned because you hold a particular role or position across the organization. So you could see up to 4 or 5 boxes here with the different types of assignment, but in this case, we've got a tidy 2. Now, for those that are color impaired, this external line and this lighter color is the proficiency level, the requirement that you need to achieve. And this darker color, this blue, is the current level of achievement. And you can see as you hover over it, where Lisa is in this case. Confidence, self-control, she has none at this point. Whereas if we look at process mapping, in this case, we're using a 3-level step scale, but all these scales that you can create new ones and you can call them what you want, and they can be 3, 12, 14 levels of competency. And she's, because of her assignment, she's already considered proficient at the competent level. So the achievement path, or how Lisa achieved this process mapping, in this case, as soon as she was assigned this item, she was on the lowest level, if not competent. The next level, she achieved competent with supervision once she had completed this particular course. And I can expand this out to see a little bit more information, or I can jump to it. In this case, it's all done, so she doesn't need to. And for process mapping advanced, she has also completed that and therefore achieved this competent scale. There are other ways of achieving a particular competency as it is set up. You can receive an assessment or a rating from different people. So it could be by a manager or appraisal or a self-assessment and any combination. So this accommodates where users might complete a course, but not demonstrate those behaviors, or maybe need to demonstrate those behaviors before they land the top level of proficiency or achieve that competency. So you can accommodate just learning-based achievement by observed achievement, or a combination of the 2. Any questions around competencies?
No questions currently, but yeah, I've just added another course on competencies again, so you can go and deep dive on that as well.
Okay, so now let's move to activities. So as I mentioned, we've got a range of performance activities. Lisa, because she is only a demo user, doesn't do a bunch, so she's got quite a backlog of activities that she needs to complete. But we have the idea of appraisals, feedback, and check-in type activities. And each of these forms or activities can be built with a range of different questions, from short answer to long answer, to multi-choice, single choice, to rated, scaled, or sort of a numerical scale or a custom scale. And across 14, we've added a number of new question types. And that includes being able to pull in that competency information that we were just looking at into a performance activity. So you can have a kind of a dialogue with your manager or your appraiser to see what competencies you have and how you've worked towards achieving them. Further to that, within those rates, within those competencies, it might be the opportunity for the manager to go in and provide a rating for those particular competencies. So that maybe a weekly or monthly review, how are you progressing? I've seen you demonstrate this behavior. I've not seen you demonstrate this behavior, or I've seen you demonstrate a negative behavior. And that can then create a kind of an ongoing and responsive dialogue for both the manager and the learner to see where the challenges lie, where their gaps lie, and where their strengths lie. So performance activities, they're both about yourself and potentially about others, so as a feedback. So in a previous life, Lisa was the manager to Annette, and she can look here into this particular quite short feedback activity and provide responses to others. So in this case, I think Annette's doing great. So we'll submit that and maybe save it as a draft. And whenever you're viewing any item, you have your context displayed to you, so you know who you're responding about and why you've been asked to respond. But feedback activities, as you create them as an administrator, can be, you can specify who responds, whether it's 270, 360 response, and you can also involve a range of different people across those appraisals and check-ins, as well as feedback, including your manager, your manager's manager, appraiser, and even an external respondent. So just a little now behind the scenes. Oops, this is not working. There we go. So in terms of the admin view, this is what I'm switching now so I can do the all promised reports area. So all of this function, all the learning, all the completion of courses and programs and compliance-based training within across Engage, the user engagement, the content engagement, the workspaces that have been created, across Perform, the performance activities, the goals, the competencies, the competency achievements, all feeds into this report builder. So reports can be created ad hoc. They can through what's called the custom report builder, and you can view all of those reports that have been previously created, and you can run them simply by clicking on them. You can edit these reports. You can see that there's an edit report. So even after you've created a report, you can make changes and tweaks and changes to it. And you can embed a range of graphical reports into these, whether they be the area graphs, bar graphs, horizontal bar graphs, pies, donuts, status donuts, a range of different display types if you're running numerical data. And that allows you to create quite a range of information. Each of these reports can also then be scheduled to be sent to you or to others on a particular run, and also specify how those items are delivered. So a report might be in PDF, or you might schedule it to be sent to you in Excel. And noting that it can be to yourself, it can be to those infamous audiences, it can be to individuals within the system, and you can even export it. So particularly if you're running maybe an external auditing agency, you can allow them, you can send them a scheduled report. So across the system, we have these custom reports. We also have what are called embedded reports. So embedded reports are using the report builder, but they're already there pre-built for you. You can go in and change them if you so wish. You'll notice that, like the team report, for example, of all my staff members, I can go in and change that if I so wish. But if I wanted to create a new report, I have a range of options. I can generate reports from a predefined template, or I can search across all the different types of reports and choose the right one. So for example, if I wanted to choose a user report, I can click on it and see a preview of the information. I can go in and dynamically create it, or I can go in and I can make changes as I need. If I want to change the information that it displays, then I can change these report columns. It will give me a few suggestions, but maybe I don't like them and I can change them. And you'll see as I click on them, because this is around users, I see a range of user information that I can add to this report, and there's quite a lot of options. So depending on the report source you select, you'll have different columns and information available to you across the site. And if you select, let's see, I'll add last login back in. If you've got date or numerical based information, you can also set how it's displayed or how it's aggregated across the site. Now, one of the nicest things across the reporting tool is that you can use some functionality, and I've talked about positions and organizations a fair bit. What you can do is create these frameworks or hierarchies and build them in a picture of your organization into the Totara application. And you can do that manually, you can do that by bulk upload it via CSV, or you can actually connect through an inbuilt HR system API and automatically add and update and even delete these positional frameworks and organizational frameworks to show all the different roles that you have across your organization, as well as all the different departments or teams or organizations that you might have. And users can be associated with these positions and organizations, which allows you to create those dynamic audiences, as well as a range of other functionality, but primarily across reporting. It allows you to filter the reports or the content of a report based on an individual's position or organization. So that means you can have a single report which will service many, many different users. So let's say a regional manager. And when that regional manager clicks on that report, if you've got those filters in place, in this case, if we're talking about a regional manager, maybe by organization, they'll only see those staff or that information in relation to their specific region when they view that report. That means that you've got user context applied to all of the reports that you generate across the system, provided you give Totara the information relating to those users. So the reporting functionality, you can schedule reports, you can view reports, and you can even add them to the dashboard. So back to the beginning where we started, you can have different dashboards for different types of users. Because I'm an admin, I'm a manager, I get to see this dashboard here where I've embedded some of the kind of the prettier looking reports here, but it can also act as a point for me to view what my team has been up to jump into view that team's area, or even see my tasks and alerts as it relates to me as a manager, which might be approving seminar activities or viewing certain content, or even approving a learning plan, which we didn't cover today, but there are some great courses on learning plans available across the Academy. So I'm aware I've been talking to you for nearly an hour, so let me run a quick poll while you think of any particular questions. So a reminder that the Talent Experience Platform, or the TXP, that is Totara Learn, Totara Engage, and Totara Perform. You can have one or several of those running. You can have any combination as it works for you. Of course, if you're running Learn and Engage, you have all those different learning options, but then if you tack on Totara Perform, you have a really robust way of linking your learning and development across performance and ongoing learning. So it's very much a cycle of improvement, engagement, and learning. Round and round it goes. So the poll today, again, completely anonymous, is just asking if you are interested in the TXP. Because it's anonymous, this doesn't mean that we're going to spam you or anything. And we're just curious to see whether this is something that you might be interested in. All right, thank you for everyone who's responded. Generally, people are keen, which is fantastic. So ending that poll. The next slide is the wrap up. So if you want to find out more, I mean, Matt's already posted a bunch of links in the chat. Do go in and grab those. When we shut down today's session, you'll need to grab those. If you want a slower or more detailed demo, you can request that through our website. If you want to learn more specifically about features, do pop into the Totara Academy. If you'd like to see what using Learn and Engage together is from an end user point of view, other than Lisa, you can jump into the Totara community. We have a range of resources and blogs on our website, which includes feature sheets, e-papers, white papers, etc. There's the help documentation, and of course you can reach out to a Totara partner. So final poll as I bring up the slide around upcoming events. I appreciate all of your time. I know that I've spoken to you for an hour pretty much straight, and it's been very fast, but the TXP is a huge system and I've really just scratched the surface. So if you want to do a deep dive into particular functionality, we offer a range of community focused webinars. The next one is going to be on specifically Workspaces, but we also offer a range of other types of webinars Matt, do you want to talk about the upcoming Deloitte session?
Yeah, so we're lucky enough to have the creators of a really interesting Totara Learn site, which uses a movie-based theme, and we have lots of that's really character-driven. So yeah, we're going to go behind the scenes with that Totara Learn site, and you're welcome to come and join, ask questions, see how they're getting engagement across the site. And we'll have another one for Elysium as well, which is on the end there. So the same type of thing where you can come and ask questions and understand how these site admins have built such engaging sites for their learners.
Excellent, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's responded in the poll. That's some great information. While we plan future events, we want to make sure that people are going to be interested and attended. So if you've got any specific suggestions of what you'd like us to present on next, do pop it in the chat or feel free to add to the forums or contact us directly. Thank you for all of your responses. We will take all of those under advisement. So finally, Matt, did we end up with any questions at all? I've got a big Q slide for it.
I've got a clean sheet today.
Clean sheet.
Yeah, first time ever in history.
Excellent. Well, I guess that means I've been either comprehensive or so confusing no one's got a question. So,
or Zoom's broken. That's another option.
Possibly better. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for looking after the questions and the chat, posting all those links. And thank you for everyone who's attended. This session has been recorded, and if you want to go back and watch it, maybe on a slower speed, it'll be available in the next few days via the community. So thank you again for your time, and thank you again for your responses across the polls. We do appreciate your time, and thank you so much, everyone, and thanks again, Matt.
Thanks, Meredith.